So I picked up this beautiful settee couch at an auction. It's got gorgeous woodwork with this beautiful detail, nice lines. The fabric on the front's actually in pretty good shape and has the existing trim that just needs to be put back on. So I'm actually going to update it by painting it using Fusion Paint to paint the fabric. The back, however, they used this thin plastic type fabric that was not meant for upholstery. So we are going to totally replace that. I got some new fabric and I can't wait to work on this one. So the first step we're going to do here is we're going to rip off as gently as we can the trim, because we're going to also dye this to match the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean it up. That's our first step, is we get soapy water and we scrub the fabric. We want to make sure there's no stains left on it. We want to get it as clean as possible before we start dyeing the fabric with the paint. Okay, so the color choice I've gone with is pressed fern. It's that green that I've come to love. And there's something about a dark green couch that just kind of is calling to me, especially for photos. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix equal parts paint with water. And we're going to do the first coat on there. You have to water it down so that it really dyes the fabric. It doesn't just sit on top. We're not painting the fabric the same way we'd paint a couch. We're not just painting over top of it. We want it to absorb into the fabric and essentially dye the fabric. And then each coat of paint we go a little less water, and then I will show you that as we go. Okay, so now I've got the paint mixed up and I'm going to go ahead and start putting the first coat on. It's quite runny, I can show you here, but that's kind of how we want it, because you want it to be able to dye into the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and start painting it and show you how I go about that. So I've wet the fabric as I went, because you want your fabric to be wet when you start. So I went over it with the spray bottle and a brush and I really got it nice and wet. So now that we've got our mixture nice and runny, I'm just going to go ahead and start putting it on. And you want to make sure that you kind of get right in there. The first coat always looks really bad. You're going to need to go over it about 3 times. So the next mixture will be 1/4 water with 2/4 paint, and then the final one will be mostly just paint. And then we'll go over it with the sandpaper. So we're really just getting it in there for this first coat. And I'm gonna keep going with this process until it's all done. First coat on there, and as I said before, it looks pretty bad. First coat always does. It's the soak-in coat. That's kind of the base coat. So I'm actually going to leave it overnight just to really let it dry. I'll come back tomorrow. We're going to give it a quick sand and go over it again with a less watered down mixture. It's probably going to take at least 3 coats, and then I'll finish it off with final sand, and then we'll wax it to seal it. So I will see you tomorrow. Hey guys, I'm back for the second coat here. So you can see it absorbed into the fabric pretty decently. I'm going to go over it with sanding block, because in between each coat you want to sand off any paint that's sitting on top of the fabric, because it'll stop the next coat from absorbing as much. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll carry on with the next coat. So as you can see, second coat went on a little bit better. You can still see the red. It's kind of hard painting over such a dark color like a red, but third, maybe fourth coat should completely cover it, and we'll end up with this nice green fabric. So I've got it pretty solid now. I've got 2 coats on this. So I'm going to go over it with a 220 grit sandpaper and give it a sand, probably give it 1 more coat, and then I'll be ready for the final steps. Okay, so that's it. I've got all coats done. I've given it a light sand and it's ready to be waxed. So as you can see, you have the same looking fabric as you did with the red. It's just got a little bit more of a leathery look to it, but it absorbed really, really well. And now that it's sanded, it's nice and smooth and soft, and I can get going with the rest of it here. Loving it. So there we go, all finished up. It held the color really nice. It's super soft. Pretty happy. Now we work on the back. Okay, so now I've started ripping off the old fabric to make way for the new stuff that I'm going to be putting on here. There's always some surprises in these old couches. Overall though, it's in pretty great shape. So we'll go ahead and get started on it.